Coming up next on the Garden Gate, some tips to attract birds to your backyard and to keep them there. Hi, I'm Brenda Ibey from the Avant Garden Shop, and welcome to another episode of the Garden Gate. Today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about attracting birds to your feeder. This time of year, or often throughout the year, I get people asking me why the birds aren't coming to their feeder. They get a new feeder, they get fresh seed, and the birds just aren't coming to it. My first question when it comes to Niger feeders and finch feeders is where they're getting their seed from. So if you buy it from a box store or, well, just have it laying around, it can be old. And the birds will not eat it if it's old. You need to make sure the seed is really fresh. Niger seed needs to be used up in about 6 months, so it's a very particular, the birds are very particular with their seed. One way to check your seed is to look at it, see if it's really dried out looking, squeeze the seed, try and break it open and get, see if there's any oil inside of it. Because the birds are actually twisting that shell, that little black seed, open to get the oil that's inside of it. They don't actually eat the shell. So that's one way to check. Smell it, look at it, see if it's a funny color. And if you have good seed and you're sure you have good seed and they're still not coming to it, then there are some other tips. Sometimes if the feeder's been hanging out for a while and the seed is in there and the birds have been pecking at it and then they give up, it's because what can happen is called bridging. They can create a little gap around the opening of the seed hole inside, and the seed just isn't falling down. So just give your feeder a tap and the seed will fall down again. Another reason is if you put out a feeder with new seed and you have another bird feeder that they're going to, I like to equate it to going to your favorite restaurant. If they're going to their favorite feeder, then they continue to go to that same bird feeder and go to their favorite restaurant all the time. So if you put out a new bird feeder, they're not going to it, then remove the other feeder for even just for a week or so, and hopefully they'll go to the new feeder. Put it in the same location maybe where the other bird feeder was. Make sure your bird feeders are full. If you have a feeder that's only half full, the birds see that and they don't like to come around to it, and they just don't notice that it's really full and that it's got lots of seed in it, lots of good seed. So make sure it's always full. Also, with goldfinches, what they tend to do is feed from the top perches. So make sure you either tip the old seed out as you're refilling it or fill it from the bottom if you're able. That's the one nice thing about this feeder is you can take the bottom off, which makes it really easy to clean for one, which is also important, but it makes it really easy to fill it from the bottom. So tip your seed that's left to the top, fill it from the bottom, put the base back on and hang it up, and you've got the older seed at the top and the fresh seed at the bottom. That's a way to make sure it continues to circulate. So another reason the finches might not be eating your seed right now is because of all the dandelions blooming. And the goldfinches actually really love dandelion seeds. So you might see them out there tipping over the little dandelion flowers and eating those. So don't be discouraged. It can take up to a month for birds to get used to a new feeder. So give it a lot of time, remove other feeders if you can, and just get them used to that new feeder and that new restaurant, and you'll be happy for years to come, because goldfinches and other little birds are really a lot of fun to watch and to see hopping around your garden. So that's another episode of The Garden Gate. Thanks very much for joining me, and we'll see you next time.
The Garden Gate is brought to you by the Avant Garden Shop, your destination for gardening accessories and backyard birding supplies.